This podcast is also available via stagelink.com, the groundbreaking new platform for live performing arts. My guests on today's Circuspreneur Podcast are comedic acrobatic duo Zion and Poppy. Welcome to the Circuspreneur Podcast, you guys.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast and to discuss like all of the amazing things that are going on for you guys right now. You're just doing the most incredible things right now. So I can't wait for the podcast for listeners to listen to your story and what's going on for you and just like all of these feats that you're achieving right now, because it's really groundbreaking, I think. And I think that you have a lot to share that'll, be super helpful to help listeners learn about an aspect of the industry, about the circus industry that I don't think that we talk about enough. So I will go into a bit of your bio. Zion and Poppy are a unique duo from Australia who are known to have audiences in fits of laughter with their ridiculous, goofy slapstick humor. To top it off, they have a few crazy tricks up their sleeve, which you will have to see to believe. Their point adagio technique is very rare and not performed by any other acrobatic couple in Australia and very few others around the world. Watch in disbelief as they pull out all the tricks in their fast and dynamic Icarian act. It is guaranteed to get your heart racing. Zion and Poppy met in 2015 and it was love at first sight. They are now married and have performed for many exciting events and companies, including Circus Oz, Circus Rio, Papua New Guinea's Independence Festival, Pink Flamingo, and Alexander Kuhn's Theater. They were also featured in the 2020 Ripley's Believe It or Not and are currently the MCs for the sexiest show in Las Vegas, Rouge at the Strat, where you are currently like 8 months pregnant.
Also, yes, absolutely.
Yes. Is currently 8 months pregnant, doing acrobatics. I mean, performing the entire show because essentially Rouge is, for listeners, it's your show. You are the headliners of the show. You lead the show. You guide the show. You are phenomenally funny and very interesting. And you're also one of the most unique acts, I think, in the world because you are amazing MCs and you do really high level acrobatics, which is super, super, super rare for listeners and also super rare to do while very pregnant and starting a circus family.
That's for sure.
How have you been, performing? How have you, how did you kind of work up to this moment? I'd love to go in a little bit into both of your, your history and your past and how you kind of started off. And then we'll go into how you got to, I think, decide that you wanted to perform while pregnant, you wanted to start a circus family, and then making the best decisions for yourself as performers, because we are in a very unique and niche environment. And we don't hear a lot sometimes about entertainers and performers starting a family, how they're able to continue to work and kind of balance or juggle like all of those different commitments that come with, a very, very, very big change in our careers and in our lives. So either one can start off.
Well, we met in 2015 at the National Institute of Circus Arts, and we did our bachelor degree there. And I think it really sort of started for us there because our coaches that we had, one of our coaches would tell us how she would perform pregnant on high wire up until like a week before giving birth, and then she was back again like a week after giving birth.
I think a month. She had 1 month off altogether, but she was doing unbelievably dangerous, like high wire, just so dangerous. She would always laugh and say, "I was in a lunge, but my husband, if he falls, he's in trouble." She thought it was so funny to say that.
And I think all through our career, like post schooling and working in different shows, we were always surrounded by all these women that had had children and had kept performing through their pregnancy. And it was very inspiring, I think. So it was kind of ingrained in me, definitely from like my whole career, that when you get pregnant, it's not the end of your career. It doesn't mean that you have to finish. It just means you have to change things a little bit. You have to, work with your medical professionals, obviously make sure everything is going normally and there's no complications. So it was very inspiring.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time with the Ashton's family and Infamous and stuff in Australia, and they I mean, they're a family. They've all had kids, and then their kids go on the show and stuff. So there was some friends there who were performing 7 months. Mostly she was a dancer in the show, but, they just did what the mother felt was right. And we found it in our experience, the mother feels a little bit off, feels a little bit sore, feels a little different. If you've done it for 10 years, every day you do the same trick, you can feel when something's different. You take the trick, you get rid of the trick. But we found that for Poppy, it's been the same as all these people we went to school with and all these people we worked with who you just really listen to yourself.
And I think we were extra lucky with the job that we have now. They've been very supportive with the pregnancy and everything. They're giving me full control if I need to take things out or whatever. But our boss, Hanok, his brother is a famous gynecologist in New York. And
wow.
he's seen the show, and he sent him a whole video of the show, and he looked through it to make sure that from his experience, if there was anything unsafe that we were doing. We had a big chat to him on the phone, which was amazing to get his view. And he's read case studies on gymnasts that have continued doing gymnastics whilst pregnant as well. And he said that blew his mind personally, seeing what is possible when your body is used to doing such a high level of acrobatics, like what you can continue to do. So we were very lucky in that way as well, to have such a professional be able to guide us.
So, but when we started in circus school, and not just with the baby, but our coaches were very big on, you've got to find something that seems impossible and you've got to make it possible. That was his whole thing. So if we were like, oh, we saw this trick on Instagram or whatever it was, but we want to learn this, and he would literally point and say, here's 4 other couples at the school doing that same trick. Are you sure you want to learn that trick? Because everyone does that trick. Find something more unique, find something more interesting. Absolutely. And it was really big. That had a big influence on us.
Absolutely, yes.
What a cool challenge. Could you explain a little bit of what a carrion is for listeners that maybe are unfamiliar with it? Because even though, it's still, I would say, pretty rare still in the circus industry to see a lot of a carrion. And that's because it's so hard.
Absolutely.
I think it's hard. As someone who has flipped a lot in their life, I mean, God bless. The fact that you do a carrion, it's not easy.
So it's foot juggling. It's foot juggling another human. So I lie down and I foot juggle her. And that's where it's different from, everyone's heard of acro yoga. Everyone knows acro yoga. We came from sort of acro yoga. And that's more like one trick at a time, but the difference for us when it goes from acro yoga or L basing to Icarian is that it's foot juggling. You got to think of your partner as it sounds bad, but this is what our coach said. You have to think of them as a prop, as an object.
Yes.
Which you have to objectify your partner, which sounds awful. But if you don't, you get scared and you hesitate, and that's when it gets dangerous. It's actually not that dangerous if you just think of it. So you learn with the props, not everything, but a lot of the skills you learn with the props, and then you translate that to the person. And that way you catch them before they touch the ground, just instinctively, like you would a juggling club, or if you throw something and you catch it.
So it's a very fast moving, fast paced, flip, 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 boom, 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 boom.
That's the distinction in our mind between, the more common acro yoga and Icarian.
Yes. And it is quite an old circus art as well, actually, which I think is why we were drawn to it, because we really like the old traditional sort of style acts. The other act. Oh yeah, no. What were you saying?
I was going to say there's old Chinese paintings from I don't know what year, but a lot, thousands of years ago, of people foot juggling. So, and then you always find people going, "Oh, that was invented by my great cousin," and you're like, "I don't think it was. I've seen the pictures." But it's such an old art form. But usually now it's brothers.
Yes. It is quite uncommon to have a female doing Icarian.
And we've actually met people, and they don't mean anything by this, but they won't teach their daughters Icarian because they think it's too aggressive and they think it's too whatever. And I cannot stand that because, I mean, she's excellent at flying Icarian. It's great. Women are great at flying Icarian. And if you teach two brothers, they grow and then they become the same size, and it's so much harder. It's kind of easier in a way, but the player has to do more.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, but there is a little bit of a stigma of it because it's such an aggressive discipline.
It is aggressive, yeah, and
you have to be
definitely learning as well. I got a lot of bruises. You fall on the floor a lot. You know, it's not like something nice, you know. Like, it is quite hardcore to do at the beginning, but then once you get through that, it's one of the most enjoyable things I've ever done. It is a lot of fun to be flying through the air.
Actually, apart from some of the higher level skills, it's actually really safe once you get through that barrier, because you're not as high from the ground as you are with standing acrobatics. You're actually much closer to the ground. And I don't know, I'm looking straight at her rather than when you're standing here. I find that I can catch you once you learn. It's a steep learning curve, and then it's really enjoyable.
Yes, this is true.
I think that's a really great way to describe it, Zion. It's a steep learning curve. For sure, we can't downplay that or diminish that.
Yes. What's the same?
Also, too, putting it into perspective.
It's same as the point on shoulder we do. The first 9 months is the worst thing you've ever done, and that's why no one does it, because it's just bleeding shoulders and pain, and it's awful, and it looks ugly because the light like this. But then it's really fun once you get over the first 9 months or so. Yeah, Icarian's funner, let's be honest, but it's still fun.
And you adapt. I mean, you guys do several of your acts inside of Rouge, which is, again, a lot. And I'm kind of killing the show for folks that haven't seen it yet. But this kind of like compiles and then is like your finale, which, again, like saving up and using all of that energy in the show. I'm trying to imagine this now, 8 months pregnant. Poppy, you're so amazing. But like you carried the show for a very long time. And then you're the whole finale. And this is when you're doing your adagio, your point, your Icarian, like, you know, and that's not easy to do. You have to wait to warm up. You have to like preserve your energy. I mean, how is it to build that and do that when you were not pregnant? And then how does it feel for you both to be able to do that now, you know, pregnant and kind of having to like weigh, you know, like that amount of time and kind of gauging what you need to do, because we go through so many processes in prepping for a show and then in prepping for our act. And most of us want to get that hard part over with quickly, and you can't because you're the finale.
Yeah,
absolutely. So the first kind of the first reason we had to sort of start taking things out of the show was actually being pregnant. I have to pee a lot, so we needed to have more spaces in the show. So we actually had to take the acro act out of the show, the point act. For that reason, because I wasn't having enough spaces because we were on stage so much to have a break. So that was pretty funny that was the big reason for that one. But with the Icarian and even with the point before we took it out, it's quite obvious for me and my body. With the relaxin, things were a lot more because when you're pregnant, you produce this hormone called relaxin, which softens up your hips, softens everything to help for when you're going to give birth. And I really struggled with any the acro moves where I had to stay really still because my hips would still be shifting a little bit. So it made it difficult for Zion to balance me because I was moving so much. So that was definitely like the first kind of thing that needed to be taken out of the show. And with the Icarian, I'm still doing Icarian in the show today. We do like 3 skills in our act now, and we normally would be doing like 10 or something. So it's very cut down because we do comedy as well. We've sort of been replacing the tricks with more comedic moments. in the act, and being so big now, having such a big belly, that has just been hilarious, being able to put, like pregnancy jokes into the show as well.
Course, yeah.
So yeah, it's been easy to sort of monitor.
One thing we found, because she was still doing pretty much the full Icarian act until I think it was 22 weeks, we started to really cut it back. Because now she's still doing some front salts, she's still doing the spins at the end and stuff, but like backflips continuous. At about 22 weeks, we took that out just because that's when the abs start to get the risk of separation. So we took it out just because we didn't want her to have the separation that then makes it hard to heal afterwards.
Yeah, so anything like
great call.
Archie for me, I could feel as well, it just didn't feel right. It was kind of like, okay, this has got to go out now.
22 weeks pregnant she was still doing 6, so she wasn't doing 10 anymore, but 6 backflips. It was pretty wild. But she was still fine with it. And actually, she had a small spine injury before we met. So 10 years ago, she had a small spine injury, and there was still scar tissue. Mm-hmm. And her back every now and then would play up. But the relaxin from pregnancy fixed it.
I've had less back pain than I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You're the only pregnant woman that has less back pain.
So that was...
That's very marketable.
Yeah, very marketable, yeah.
Yeah.
Slogan.
Yeah,
pregnant,
right?
no back pain.
Pregnant, no back pain. 3 secrets doctors don't.
You're breaking all the myths, Poppy. You're just breaking them all the records. I mean, this has got to be a record, some kind of, I think
so, for sure.
Full on Guinness record. It has to be with what you guys are doing right now.
Yeah.
Well, we had a reporter come to our show, and he wrote an article saying, because he's been in Vegas a very long time, Johnny Katz, and he wrote an article saying this is the most he's ever seen a pregnant woman do in Vegas ever. So that was quite cool.
That was like 10 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You were nowhere near as pregnant then.
No.
You're so tiny. Like the belly is, it's like you're everything.
People still don't believe it's a real belly.
This is true, actually. So
in finale, she just wears the bra and underwear because she wants to show it off. And we've had a few people say, hey, do you want to wear like a bodysuit to cover up? Like, no, we want to show it off. We want to show that it's real. It's a natural part of the human body. It's a natural part of everything. And it would be weird if it was fake.
Yeah.
If she was wearing a fake belly the whole show, that would be so weird. We want them to know it. It's real. It's real.
And it's been really well received, that moment at the end where people are like, if they're unsure, that moment where they're like, oh, wow. And people have been very supportive. It's been really nice to, because I wasn't sure if people were going to be angry or, what the reaction's going to be. And people have been really supportive and inspired. And I've had people coming up to me because we do photos at the end, and they said that they were in tears because, they'll say like back in their day, that was not something women were real. Like you weren't, like an old woman came up to me and she was like, that is not something we were allowed to do really.
They weren't allowed to do. Yeah, she was like,
is continue working while you're pregnant and everything. So she was really touched by that, which is nice to give that to people, Yeah.
I like it when we have pregnant audience members because they take bump to bump photos with Poppy at the end.
Those are the baby slipping in utero.
Yeah. No,
I mean, I'm assuming that you guys, but I'm not going to assume that you want your baby. Do you want your baby to do circus? Have you thought about it?
Absolutely. We're not like, if he decides he wants to do something else, that's fine. We're not going to force him to be in circus, but definitely we're going to give them those like skills and knowledge. And
I put it this way. I like to put it this way. I don't think anyone's ever been like, damn, I wish I didn't know how to do a backflip. I just wish I didn't know that. I get bullied at school because I know how to backflip. That's not going to happen, So I will teach him. And if he just wants to do it for fun on the side, that's fine. If he wants to do it professionally, awesome,
Yeah.
Whatever he decides with it. But might as well teach him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's already flipping in there anyway, so you might as well just keep up the practicing, keeping up the skill.
We are joking that because he's quite active in there.
Very active.
But he always sort of like sleeps whenever I'm doing acrobatics. It seems like it soothes him. So we were saying that when he's born, we're going to have to get his bassinet, and instead of just rocking it gently, we're going to have to spin it around in a circle to get him to sleep.
I'm telling you, I have rocked a baby backstage during acts of other like circus artists, and it's just been like one of the funnest experiences of my life and my career, of like literally taking such like a newborn and being like, okay, mommy's coming back soon, and like keeping them entertained. And they're like, don't be quiet around them. They love a lot around them because they've been in a show since we had them. Like, keep everything really alive while we're on stage. We don't want them to wake up.
Yeah.
Circus babysitter.
You don't realize how, and it's so loud in the womb as well. You don't let people like, oh, quiet for the baby. But everyone that I've experienced is like, no, like the more noise is better to kind of soothe them. Yeah.
Well, and it's been really interesting because one thing we do get a lot is people, of course, people who don't realize that the tricks we're doing now for us are so easy. It's like so easy. We've done them for 10 years together and every day nearly, and they're like so easy.
And especially
it looks crazy, but it's not that crazy really what we're doing for us.
And especially now, I activate 0 muscles. I like squeeze my bum, and that's about it. Zion does like 90% of the work. His legs are getting much stronger.
Yeah. Well, like,
and I just follow.
We call it a front salt, but it's more of a front layout because she can't really tuck. But my point was going to be that actually all the things that are like when she has kind of like hurt her belly, or it's like the dog jumping on her. The hardest part of the show for her is putting the tights on, going over a speed bump, driving to work and going over a speed bump too fast. So that is way more force going through her than
sneezing.
When we do this.
Literally
way
sneezing
more.
is like, oh.
Yeah. Like if I go on a corner a little fast, she'll be like, whoa, because she doesn't have the ab control. When she's on my feet, it's fine because it's way more controlled. She knows what's coming, and it's not that much force. My legs are nowhere near as strong as a car. So that's kind of funny to us where people are so like, but look how much force look how fast you're going. And I'm like, I mean, actually, it's not that fast compared to when you're in a car or when you, even if your dog jumps on you and you sit up really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so great that you're able to like just teach from your experience and educate, because I talk about on the podcast from time to time, we don't talk about pregnancy enough in the circus. And when people ever ask, I'm like, well, how do you think they got circus generational families without having pregnancy in the circus? So there's obviously some people having a lot of babies because they've carried on these circus traditions for hundreds of years, sometimes in a lot of families all over the world. So it is a typical experience. Like, we do have babies, we do have families, we do figure out ways to support ourselves, and we do have to get creative. You're not always in a long-term contract or or this center of the show where you can kind of balance, your needs and make things a little bit easier or whatever. So you have to get creative, obviously, but a lot of careers, a lot of professions, people have to get creative with their pregnancies and can't maximize or do the exact same thing, take off time and then come back, but it's such an important quest for people that choose to do this. And there are a lot of pregnant circus people in the circus arts. So I love this. I think it's so informative. And then it also shows like the needs. We have special needs, like our pregnancies are not the same. They require a lot of creativity and experimenting. And it's wonderful that you're in the environment that's really supporting that. I think I'm the happiest to hear that they're really game with you guys and they're letting you use it like in the show. They're letting you,
Because that's an important point, because there are a lot of companies we've heard of that are like, you're pregnant? out.
You're fired.
You're
Yeah.
fired. We've heard of that as well.
Yeah.
But it's never the traditional, more company. Ours is not really a traditional circus at all, but it's like a lot of really corporate companies, you know what I mean? And they're just like, no, we don't want anything to do with that. You're out.
Yes.
Whereas we've fought really hard to have it with her control.
Yes. And we did have to sign something to say that it is our choice to be continuing, and, you know, if any, just to cover the company if anything happens, that they're not like liable and all of this, of course, to cover them. But I think a lot of, like you said, a lot of companies just don't want to deal with that, and they're like, scared with it. So.
Yeah, well, we know of people, some of our friends who, when she got pregnant, they had companies canceling their contracts or gigs that were coming up. And they were like, why? And they said, oh, because you got pregnant. And they were like, yeah, but I'm only going to be, like, I'm not going to be pregnant when that happens. But they're just like, oh, we just thought you were pregnant and assumed you would never be doing it again.
Yeah.
That happens as well. It's like, you know, especially, I mean, that's however long she takes to recover and come back into the show is however long, but she will come back into the show. She will recover from it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And I've seen many women, you know, especially if you've gone your whole life being very active, very, you know, higher level acrobatics, and, you know, your body changes so much in pregnancy, and then you can get back to that point. I think some people think that, oh, your career's over, your body's ruined, you can never be the same again. But it's not the case, you know. You can, you know, retrain the muscles. It's all there. You've been doing it for so long. It's something that's so natural to your body.
Yeah.
And I've seen multiple people come back, sometimes with bigger and better abs, you know.
Yeah. multiple of the girls in our show have kids.
Yeah, it's true. Yes, there's a couple of girls that are phenomenal in what they do, is amazing, and they've had multiple kids, and it's possible. It's definitely possible.
Yeah, and I think that a important thing we've been learning with it is everything is, you might as well just enjoy every step of it. And when the hurdles come up, we'll deal with them. You know, maybe if she didn't feel good, we would obviously stop. But she feels good, we do what she wants to do.
Yeah, we're just kind of going with the flow with it a little bit, because you can't plan too much, you know. You can kind of make a plan of what you want to visualize for, you know, your own in mind. You want to have like a nice, healthy, happy time. But if something comes along, you got to be a bit flexible and change with it for sure.
I mean, it took 3 years for her to get pregnant. We were trying for 3 years.
Wow.
And then we paid for IVF. And then the week before we started treatment, she got pregnant naturally. Yeah.
Oh my God. Did you get your money back?
Yes.
We got our money back.
We got a full refund.
Did they return the deposit? Because that's expensive.
It's so expensive. Oh my gosh.
It was we paid the full amount in cash because it was cheaper to do it that way. And we were like, I think that our baby might have heard that and been like, all right, I'm making some good points right now. I'm gonna
good baby.
You're getting the fancy stroller. You're getting the fancy disc.
Chanel, Louis Vuitton, nothing but the best.
We can afford it now.
It's all the IVF money.
Oh my gosh, seriously.
But seriously, it's
that's a miracle. What a miracle.
I just feel like we're really appreciating every step of the way, even the good and the bad, feeling nauseous, feeling, you know, a little bit of pain here and there. I'm feeling very thankful and very grateful because it took us so long, you know, to get here. So
that might be really part of why we're so positive about everything with it. Like he'll be kicking and I'll see the foot kicking like this, and Poppy will just be like, "Oh, I better do some doubles in Ikea, and I've got 2 guys kicking me." You know, she just loves it. Doesn't complain about it, but it's just because I think taking so long to get pregnant, now we're just so appreciative of everything.
Absolutely.
You know, it means he's healthy if he moves a lot, so it's good.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm so happy for you both, and we are going to wrap up the podcast. Zion and Poppy, I'm so happy for you both. You're both amazing. You're so inspiring, everything that you're doing right now at Rouge in this show. And thank you for educating on what it's like to carry a pregnancy throughout a circus show, and also too to give a little bit of contrast between your experiences and other experiences that you've heard also too within the industry. Like, again, like, we know that not every experience is like this, not every experience is the same, but I just love that you're in a supportive environment, and that's the most important thing, especially because it took you so long to get to this point on your journey. So happy, healthy baby, and I wish you both all the best. And then I'm so excited to see your little acrobat when he comes out, what he's gonna do.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you
so
for
much
taking
for having
the time.
us. No, of course.
Thank you.
Thank
We've really
you.
enjoyed being on
Yeah,
here.
so
Thank you
lovely.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Absolutely. And I'll close the podcast with this Circuspreneur Podcast is also available on stagelink.com, stagelync.com, the groundbreaking new platform for live performing arts that provides unmatched access and connection to this vibrant world of shows and entertainment. If you're a professional in the performing arts, visit stagelink.com/pro. STAGELYNCPRO offers industry professionals higher visibility, networking opportunities, and tools to support and enhance their careers. Until next time, everyone, I'm your host, Shanae Stiletto. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Circuspreneur Podcast.